Where's my Zuzu? Is that my monkey? Kraft! We need some dirt and we need it fast, so give us the scoop on Willard Kraft. Like a cute little monkey with big eyes. Now he answers to poo. Hey everyone, so I've recently been asked a lot when I'm going to be doing my next Sabrina episode review, and I thought I'd do one today. I haven't done one since November, which is a little bit terrible. I am sorry about that to those of you who are enjoying these videos. I thought I'd do it now because I'm going through a massive Sabrina kick just now. Caroline Rhea is going to Glasgow and also Edinburgh at the end of the month. And I am, of course, going to see her. It'll be the 4th time I've seen her, so I'm really excited. And I'm currently watching the entire show. I've just finished watching the last episode of the 6th season, so I've just got one more season to go, and it's really quite exciting. But I kind of went back and watched episode 14 of the 3rd season, Mrs. Kraft, and it's really quite bizarre. Like, I always think I prefer the first 4 seasons, and that when she goes to college it's a bit different, but when I'm actually watching the college episodes, I kind of prefer them. It's a little bit weird, and I'll probably contradict myself with that, but anyway, I have my little Salem ready. I thought we'd talk about the 14th episode of the 3rd season, Mrs. Kraft. This is never one of my favourite episodes, though season 13 is my favourite season. This episode has never really been up there as one that I absolutely love. However, I do love it. It's kind of telling us more about Mr. Kraft's personality. I think it's a real look at his past. There are a couple of episodes like that, more so in season 4. We do get to have a little, kind of deeper dig at who Mr. Kraft is as a character, and kind of bringing him out of being your stock character in the earlier seasons, making him a little bit more well-rounded. This video will contain spoilers, by the way, if you haven't seen the episode. The fact that Mr. Kraft had a wife is really quite fascinating, and I think something a lot of us probably didn't expect too much given the nature of Mr. Kraft's character. I think Lucy is quite an exciting character. I'm glad she wasn't a recurring character. She could have been. There could have been grounds for her to come back. But I'm glad it was just a one-time thing. She's played by Julia Duffy, and I just think she's a really interesting character. I don't like her, but I do love to hate her. And I think if I had to pick somebody for Mr. Kraft to marry, it would be Lucy. Now, what Lucy does, for me at least, is makes me feel sorry for Mr. Kraft almost, and that never really happens. I think the only other episode where I felt sorry for Mr. Kraft would be Sabrina nipping at your nose, season 4. Apart from that, I have no sympathy for Mr. Kraft. So credit to Lucy. She does fantastic things as an audience, kind of her perception of Mr. Kraft. I've always preferred Zelda and Willard to Hilda and Willard. I just think the coupling works better. I don't think any of them work, but if I had to pick one, it would be Zelda. And we do get to see an emotional side of Zelda on this one as well. And I always want to say Zelda is my favourite of the 2 aunts, but I really, really struggle with picking one. But I do love the episodes where it's more about her personality and her opinion, because I find that when Hilda's the one who's upset and emotional, it's just too much of a transition from her being really hyperactive and like really comedic to being really upset. That's just too much to handle, whereas it works fine with Zelda. So kind of her relationship with Willard in this as well sets us up for future events. Whether or not I'll regret saying this, I'm not a big fan of Salem in this one. Salem I adore in general. I think he's adorable. But this one I thought his role was a little bit just... It's meant to be in the background. His role with training the dog to bring him meat and learning to speak dog is interesting, and it's good, and it kind of shows us the domineering side of Salem and how he is still a human and he will assert that power whenever possible. And also it also shows that not every dog is more powerful than every cat, which is a cat lady, I love that. But to be honest, I didn't find his role that comedic, whereas usually it's Salem who brings the comedy. For me, there wasn't a lot of comedy in this. I think the moment I found the most funny was when they were on the Jerry Springer show, which, was very quite interesting, and they put the beep track over Hilda, even though she wasn't swearing. I think that was probably for me the most hilarious moment. Certainly this is not an episode where it's all about the comedy. For me, it's all more about the character progression and looking into characters differently. I've always enjoyed this episode to an extent. I've never had anything wrong with it. I just particularly don't think it's fantastic. I think it's quite different to a lot of the other episodes in this season, so when it arrives, it calls for a different emotional approach to some of the other episodes, because season 3 I think is very hilarious on a lot of levels. This one is slightly different. But let me know what you think. I've never heard anybody say that they love it, that it's their absolute favourite episode, but maybe you will be the first person to tell me that. Little Salem and I are going to watch the 7th series of Sabrina in preparation for Caroline Rhea, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!